On Tuesday morning, May 31st, 1921, Greenwood was a beacon of black prosperity. 2 days later, Greenwood was rubble and ash. Christy Williams has spent decades researching the atrocities of those days, which her great-aunt escaped.
The massacre began when a young black man was in an elevator with a young white woman. He bumped into the young white woman, and she screamed. And then they said that this young black man assaulted this young white woman. The young black man was put in jail. When he was put in jail, all the men in Greenwood got together. They went down to City Hall, to the jail where he was, to protect him from being lynched. And they had guns with them, and there were tons of white men and police around the jail. And there was one black man who had a gun. One of the white men said, "Nick, what are you going to do with that gun?" And he said, "I'll use it if I have to." And they struggled for the gun. It just started a big fight. They were shooting at each other, running, trying to get away. And they ran through downtown back into Greenwood. Then the looting started. And then the fires to the homes.
My grandfather, being that he was a senior in high school, and my great aunt at the time, they were both at Booker T. Washington High School, and seniors in that class. And typically when we would be going through what we know as prom and getting ready to graduate, it was my grandfather. They were down there decorating the hotel where they were prepared to celebrate. And they got word that trouble was coming, right? On May the 31st. Trouble was coming. They had no idea.
75 years later, survivors like Vinnie Sims and George Monroe still remember the horrors they saw as children.
We could hear the bullets were falling in our yard, and that's when my father told us that we got to go. We didn't know where to fall down, run, or where to hide. You didn't have nowhere to hide but go in the house. And we sat there and could see the blaze of the fire, where they were burning and things like that over on this side of Tulsa.
What I remember mostly is when all of a sudden my mother was excited is because that she saw 4 men coming toward our house, and all of them had torches, lighted torches on their side, coming straight to our house.
We could hear planes and knew the fighting was going on here and the shooting and things, because it was just like just a boom, 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 boom. That's all you could hear, was boom, boom, boom.
Police were unable or unwilling to stop the violence, possibly because the police chief had sworn in hundreds of white mob members as special deputies. The National Guard was called in. Firemen were unable or unwilling to stop the conflagration.
They were taking the wounded, they set up a place where they would take the wounded. They had cots, these army cots. That's what the wounded was on. They were there with legs all shot up, just all types of wounded men.
When these people came in, these 4 men came in, they walked right past the bed, right straight to the curtains in the house. And they set fire to the curtains. And as a result, everything in and around was burning. And that's what I remember more than anything else. And that eventually, they left after then, and eventually this fire caused our house to burn down completely to the ground.
I learned what was destroyed in our family. I know the terror that they experienced when they were in their home and, they were hiding in the bathtub. And they had a neighbor come by that made my relatives get out of their own bathtub so that they could have some kind of safety. I know the stories of people going down the train tracks and having only their suit of clothes, and they would put on another pair of pants on top of that pair of pants, another jacket on top of that jacket, because that's all they had. And they would take off, right, trying to go to some kind of safety. The fact that the house their very house was saved because there's a story that says that J.H. Goodwin, who was very fair complected, he looked like a white man, right? He's very fair complected, but he was black. When the white racist mob was coming, he directed them away from the house, right? And they kept going. So that house was saved, but many of the other properties were destroyed. And again, never ever. Nobody was ever charged. Nobody ever convicted in terms of the murder, in terms of the looting, in terms of the burning, in terms of the terroristic acts that took place.